Welcome. My name is Scott Tullis, and I'm with Ferticell. I'm here today to talk to you about the Ferticell product line.
Ferticell has 13 products registered for organic use.
One of the unique advantages that Ferticell offers their growers is that these products can be used organically and conventionally. What this means to a grower is that there is no blurring of the boundary lines from an organic crop to the conventional crop. So today I would like to introduce you to 6 of our products today. First one will be Nutriplus. We're going to talk about the Explorer products, our ProK, Universal, and Calcium. These products are plant and are derived with a unique process of technologies. So with these being plant derived, they can be absorbed into the plant very quickly, foliar, and through the root system very quickly. Most products can be used foliar and some are used in the soil. The advantages in the soil is that these products will not bind or tie up in the soil, so they're plant available right away. So the plant can pick them up pretty quick and get to using them. The roots can absorb them very quickly, and also through the foliage they can be absorbed very quickly, so they can be put on, absorbed. There is no restrictions as far as walking into the field and being contaminated, and they're very safe, so you do not have to worry about anything being carried over or burned or anything like that on the plant. These products are very good to help with the rhizomes in the soil as far as growing more, helping with the root systems grow. They also, when they do go on in through the roots or through the foliars, you do get an exudate. So this exudate helps with microbes. You get a lot of microbial action in the soil. This also helps release more nutrients, for instance the phosphorus, the nitrogen, and the calcium that's in the soil and tied up. Our calcium is a less than 1 micron size, so this enables the plant to absorb the calcium very quickly. It can go both foliar and through the root system. It will get into the phloem and will be able to be transported throughout the plant where it's needed. Our packaging sizes that we're going to take a look at, and that's available to you guys, it is available in 2.5 gallons. It's available in 5 gallons. Our new pack size will be 80-gallon totes, and then in our 170-gallon totes and
275-gallon totes.
The powder products, they are available in 44-pound bags, and you can get these up to a pallet of 1,760 pounds and even 1,848 pounds on a pallet. So the first one we're going to talk about will be Nutriplus. And Nutriplus is our amino acid. There's a little bit of nitrogen, but not a lot, 2.5. But the big thing is the amino acids. And in this, there are 19 out of the 20 essential amino acids that are in this product. We will use these at critical physiological sequences of growth, events, responses. For instance, if you're seeding, we like to put this in there in the seeding to help the seed, give it energy to get up out of the soil. Seed emergence, it just pushes it through the soil quicker, gets it up, gets it photosynthesizing very quickly. Early growth, if you're having any kind of a stress, cool weather or anything like that, early growth will help it get to elongate and get it growing much quicker. It helps with the utilization of the nitrogen that you are putting down also. And as we go just flowering, it'll help it set flowers and hold those flowers. We'll not let them drop those flowers. And then as we get a fruit set, once again, we want that fruit to stay on there and not drop. And then as we're bunching or bulking, we want that plant to be able to bulk and be able to do it properly and more uniformly. Nutriplus is really critical for calcium and potassium. It helps with cell mobility and storage. The big thing with calcium is shelf life. We want as much calcium into that fruit as we can get, help with shelf life. And if you're going after sugars, we want those brick numbers to come up, and calcium will help with that, along with the potassium. We want to get that in there and help with the sugars. The second exudate of the plant is amino acids, and only carbohydrates are the greatest after that. And what we mean by exudates is whether we put these on foliar or they're taken up through the root system, that plant is going to exudate through the roots. And when it exudates through the roots, it helps with the biggest thing is help bring in other nutrients. I said that a little earlier, the phosphorus, the calcium, the nitrogens. It helps things that are tied up in the soil, or if you're applying it in the soil, it helps keep that available to the plant to help get it in the plant much quicker. Amino acids also help with root growth. The exudate and everything else as it goes, it uses that energy to grow more roots, nutrient uptake, and then some of the biggest thing is that exudate going in the soil is microbial activity. It helps those microbes in the soil grow, expand, make more healthier soil, and also as those microbials get to doing more things, they also help those nutrients get broke down and absorbed into the plant.
Nutriplus supports biomass process and acts like a catalyst in speeding up the cycle.
Nutriplus has 5 amino acids that they will increase tolerance to drought, and there's 3 of the amino acids in the plant that will protect from salinity stress. And Nutriplus amino acids, they are a major transporter for minerals and nutrients from cell to cell. So once you get those minerals into the plant, they will facilitate the movement in the plant much quicker, and they help get those nutrients to the cells that is needed for those nutrients. For instance, calcium, we want it to get up to the top of the plant. If we're putting it through the root system, it'll get into the phloem, moves up through the plant, carries it on into the root system, into the fruit to get it there and keep it there. And that's what we're trying to do. The faster we can get that nutrient up there, the less it has a chance to tie up or be used somewhere else into the plant. Another part of amino acids is it helps to distribute nitrogen. It balances the nitrogen. It helps with it uptake in the soil, and once it gets into the plant, it helps it balance it in the plant. For instance, arginine, it stores the nitrogen, and then this is what is required for end movement. And then amino acids, it will optimize in through the xylem and phloem. It helps move it just quicker, helps it get it up to the top or into the roots or into the fruit. However we need to get it moving, that's what the plant will start designated. Well, amino acids just help it move it quicker and get it there. Also, amino acids will optimize N allocations during the development stage. So if we are setting on new shoot growth, or we're looking at flower sets, fruit bulking, amino acids help drive those nutrients to that part of the plant that is needed at the time, make sure it has the proper nutrients to do its job. And I said also earlier,
amino acids, they are the second most exuded compound by roots.
This will really affect the rhizosphere in the soil, but it also affects as far as other things in the plant, whether we have bad weather, too much rain, not enough rain. Amino acids help with that stress. If it's too hot, too cold. If you have a hailstorm or a rain during the fruit set, or a rain when the fruit's on there, it'll help with that plant, protecting it from having problems in that fruit. Cherries, splitting, and other fruit like that. If you're looking at, for instance, beans or tomatoes, heat will come on and it'll drop those blooms. It'll also drop the fruit because of stress. The amino acid will help with that and keep those fruit on there and not drop them. Also, amino acids is a building block of proteins. Glycine, which is an amino acid, it directly supports new growth. And proline, it also is an amino acid, and it will increase photosynthesis ability and capability. And amino acids are used to form peptides in the plant, and peptides are used in the plant to form proteins. And also Nutriplus, it contains a solution of highly concentrated amino acids with a molecular weight of less than 400 grams per mole, which is incorporated into the algae cells.
Hello all. Today we're in Bob Walshley's field, and my name is Scott Tullis with Ferticell, and we just went through an event here last week, high winds, hot days, and so last Friday we applied 1.5 pints of Universal and 1.5 pints of Ferticell along with 2 pounds of ProK, and applied it on foliar, ran some water underneath, and today is less than a week away from after application, and like I said, we went through some pretty hellacious winds this last weekend, and I'm just going to show you what these plants were sprayed with Ferticell versus not sprayed with Ferticell. And we are going to put on a second shot here in another week and keep pushing these, and then the plants that did not get any on this spot will get the Ferticell shot.
Explorer Protein Nitrogen. This is the first nutritional product in my career that required examining lower rates to improve the efficiency and performance. Ferticell was one of the first producers of nitrogen from plant sources. Hydrolysate extraction practices protects the original components with the exacting technologies and will produce a 100% water-soluble dry material and a clean liquid solution with an unlimited shelf life. Explorer Protein Nitrogen will improve uptake of organic as well as inorganic sources. There will be no burn potential, and it will reduce water requirements. Explorer will naturally adhere to leaf surfaces and will remain in most soils without leaching. That will provide efficiency at lower rates. Plant sources for nitrogen will include natural compounds such as peptides, polypeptides, amino acids, amines, and most importantly, carbon. Explorer nitrogen will have little or no loss in high temperatures as a limiting factor. Explorer nitrogen, as a 16% dry or a 10% liquid, will provide immediate as well as long-term source-to-sink functions. This is a unique process that's directed by the plant, and it will be directed to the need, or to the flower, root, leaf, or fruit. Explorer plant-derived protein will supply nitrogen in the form matching the cellular nitrogen component and is best described as peptides and polypeptides. Plant-stored nitrogen-containing compounds are in a range of 85% as a protein molecule, and nitrate and ammonia totals, as stored, is less than 2%. It is very difficult to understand or explain the unfortunate risks with nitrification processes that renders the most available form of nitrogen, but also the most susceptible to losses from crop rooting zones. Nitrates. Recent studies have reported that mixed nitrogen nutrition with protein acts favorably on most crops with higher yields in seed production that included pot-grown and hydroponically produced crops. Protein nitrogen integration is a progressive program for reduction of total nitrogen requirements and nutritional balance. Proteins are natural transporters and facilitators for balancing nutrition. The process of improving nutritional quality, or biofortification, will be assisted with the integration or the direct application of Explorer Protein Nitrogen, and that's especially true in food crops. In other crops, like cereals, large amounts of nitrogen fertilizer are required to attain maximum yield and nutrient use efficiency. The use efficiency is generally less than 50% with typical fertilizer sources. Comparing animal-derived protein hydrolysates with plant sources are noted in the extraction processes. Animal protein hydrolysates are usually produced with the use of high temperatures and strong acids resulting in a loss of the L form of amino acids, or the amino acids are converted into the D form, and as a result, there is a complete loss of the biological activity of the amino acids. Explore protein nitrogen that is produced with lower temperatures and enzymatic hydrolysis will contain higher peptides, balanced free amino acids, and the amino acids remain in the L amino acid form. Using plant-based proteins can also assist plants to perform better under low nutrient availability by increasing the nutrient use efficiency. Our recent study comparing Explorer protein nitrogen to the liquid 10% to 46% urea has demonstrated the efficiencies at lower rates while matching uptake in leaf and root tissue exams. Part of the study included salinity impact by applying sodium chloride with a 50% Hoagland solution. Tissue samples were processed by Brookside Laboratories. Rates for urea was 1.2 gallons per acre, and protein nitrogen of the liquid 10% was at 0.35 gallons per acre. The most interesting result in the trial was a demonstration that we found much lower salinity impact on tissue levels in the leaf and in the root. The study was originally started to demonstrate the lower efficiency rates that we were publishing. With the salinity impact results, we now use Explorer as part of our salinity management programs that we provide in all soil and water conditions. To better understand protein nitrogen is to examine how nutrients are used and how cell division and development processes are in play. Let's think about a plant cell being a bag or, for instance, a grocery cart. When you look in the grocery cart, you'll find two major ingredients, protein and carbohydrates. With those two ingredients, we add coenzyme A, which is a 2-carbon substrate that will start the process known as the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle. The final step is the supply of ATP, or the currency needed to provide all of the energy required in all living cells. Adenosine triphosphate is the precursor for DNA and RNA molecules and cell development. All living things use ATP in this process. Explorer protein nitrogen is compatible as an ingredient or a replacement product in any organic or conventional nutritional program. Explorer is compatible with all water sources and does not require high volumes of water as a carrier or to be watered in correctly. Packaging can be supplied in a 3.5 gallon, 80 gallon, 170 gallon for the liquid 10%. Explorer has been in the organic and conventional use markets since 2011 and was the first certified organic protein for all the markets.
Hello, I'm Jeff Ziehmer. I'm the general manager over here at Ferticell. I'm here to talk to you today about ProK. This is our soluble concentrate potassium in a liquid formulation. It is a very unique product in that it is simply a K2O potassium molecule with no limiting factors such as sulfur, chlorides, hydroxides, nitrates, or acetates. This product is in its pure form. It's highly efficient, highly available, and it is one of the best, cleanest potassiums that you will ever use. There are no limiting factors with this potassium like you might get with the other formulations that are out there on the market. You can apply it in furrow, You can apply it foliarly. You can apply it under stress. You can apply it in ideal conditions and less than ideal conditions. It is one of those amazing products that Ferticell brings to you through the miracle of science. Before I get too in-depth in ProK 0020, let's talk about why you use potassium in your fertility program. Potassium is associated with the movement of water, nutrients, and carbohydrates in the plant tissue. It's also involved with enzyme activation within the plant, which affects protein, starch, and ATP production. ATP can regulate the rate of photosynthesis. Potassium also helps regulate the opening and closing of the stomata within the plants, which regulate the exchange of water vapor, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. If potassium is deficient or not supplied in adequate amounts, it can stunt the plant growth and it can reduce your yield. For perennial crops, such as alfalfa, potassium plays a role in stand persistence through the winter. Other roles of potassium will show in the increase of root growth, the improvement of drought stress, aids in photosynthesis and food formation, reduces respiration, preventing energy loss of the plant. It enhances translocation of sugars and starches, especially important when you are finishing out your fruits and vegetables, and especially things such as cherries, strawberries, apples, and the like. If you're producing grains that need to be rich in starch, it'll improve that starch content within those grains. If you're producing plants that are rich in protein, such as soybeans, this will boost the protein content within those plants as well. Potassium is an essential macro that will build cellulose and reduce lodging, which is especially important when it comes to grass crops such as corn, wheat, rye, etc. And finally, potassium, when applied in sufficient amounts, help retard crop diseases and improve the plant vigor. You can monitor the potassium status of your soils with plant analysis and routine soil testing. It is especially important in season to do tissue and sap testing. The most reliable predictor of your season's needs and your fertilizer program is soil testing. In season, plant analysis can confirm a suspected deficiency indicated by visual symptoms and will help with routinely monitoring the effects of your chosen fertilizer program. Now, what about the potassium in the soil? Potassium that is taken up by plants comes from the soil solution. In actuality, there's only about 6 pounds of exchangeable potassium or available potassium to the plants. All of this is in the top 6 to 12 inches of the soil at any one time. In reality, that's only about a day's supply considering the crop's total needs. In order to keep up with plant requirements, we need to apply potassium to add to the soil release potassium to replenish the K in the soil and keep up with the plant's needs in optimum times and critical use. So let's talk about the different forms of potassium that are out there. Most of these forms of potassium have been seriously adulterated to get the modern forms that we have today. When you look at muriate of potash, sulfate of potash, potassium thiosulfate, potassium nitrate, potassium chloride, and potassium hydroxide. There are some serious chemistry, harsh effects that are used to creating these compounds, which as when you have ProK, you don't have to worry about that. And you don't have to worry about the downfalls of the particular product or timing or waiting to get through a stress event to apply ProK 0020. The reason for this is ProK, again, is a simple K2O molecule, highly available, easily uptake, with no limiting salts, no chlorides, no sulfurs, nothing that will inhibit the use at any time during the plant life cycle. You can use ProK 0020 in the planter ban. You can use it as a foliar, and it is especially important to be able to use that when you're finishing out fruits, nuts, vegetables, and cereal grains. By comparison, ProK 0020, 1 gallon of this material has enough available potassium to be equivalent to 100 pounds of 0052 sulfate of potash. And likewise, up against potassium thiosulfate, 1 gallon of ProK has availability and is safe enough to use foliarly up against 10 gallons of potassium thiosulfate. In a trial performed at Rutgers University with Dr. Benru Hong, 22 ounces of ProK was tested up against 4 gallons of 0030 liquid potassium carbonate. To test salt stress, root levels, and availability. The available potassium from ProK at the 21-day and 42 days after treatment were negligible versus the 4 gallons of the 0030. Additionally, there was salinity stress derived from applications of sodium chloride, and with just 22 ounces per acre, the ProK delivered as good, if not better, performance and reduction in stress and equivalent root production versus the 4 gallons of the 0030, making ProK a far better, superior product to use in your program. As Scott mentioned earlier about Nutriplus, it is especially important, and you will see improved production when you apply ProK with Nutriplus and or a magnesium product such as microelements. So whether you're applying this to your soybeans or your corn or your wheat, or you're applying ProK to finish out your cherries, your blueberries, your watermelon, your cucumbers, ProK is one of the most versatile products that you can find and one of the most safest products that you can use when it comes to the potassium that is needed during your crop production cycle.
And now here's Steve Trotter to bring you up to speed on the remaining products.
Today's agricultural operations have much more demand for productivity and performance, no matter the crop. Ferticell is a leader in technology advancements to improve most of the limiting factors we face today, such as salinity, water quality, and drought. Universal is the first product to be distributed by Ferticell or used in the United States. Universal by Ferticell was developed over the past 25 years in Europe for the process of soil restoration and plant efficiencies. Universal can be best described as a naturally occurring organic substances or molecules that are found in very low concentrations that will exert or directly influence plant developmental processes. This diverse group of organic molecules that has not been altered or isolated can work as chemical messengers. They can influence physiological processes, regulate external and as well as internal response, while counteracting abiotic stress and maintaining an optimum growth and plant survival. The orderly development of a plant requires a program of sequence of activations in order to produce the required proteins at the appropriate time for plant health. The interaction between cells is a very complex affair. This kind of behavior can be best interpreted in terms of chemical messengers and hormones that can and will carry information between cells. The natural balance of these molecules has not been adulterated or isolated to protect the diversity and the interaction required to fully allow a complete genetic expression or sequence of development for all plants. For example, cytokinins that have been synthesized in the root and transported to the leaves to influence metabolic activity also must interact with auxins in that same process. Universal is produced in a freshwater and controlled environment to ensure each and every production cycle provides the exact naturally occurring balance of these molecules, and they are not harvested in varying conditions or adulterated in an extraction process. Benefits are confirmed in published literature where plant-derived substances will set in motion the genetic processes such as flowering, cell division, root development, fruit set, nutrient use efficiency, which may be the most important for us, and we're including nutrient transportation to the final destination in plants to stimulate the natural plant defensive mechanisms. Universal can work in recovery from biotic or abiotic stresses, including dormancy, which could be very important to us, and it will also promote a natural maturity and color. It will delay senescence, and finally can be considered a biostimulant as well as a catalyst in all growth environments. Biostimulants are friendly to nutrition. A catalyst will speed up the rate of reaction.
We are now going to go into our calcium products. The first one we'll talk about will be our calcium 880 plus. It is a 25% calcium and it has our algae extract in it, and it is a flowable. And the other one we'll talk about will be our dry, which is a ProK 20, and it's a 20% calcium. And both of these are calcium carbonate products. The first one is calcium 880 plus, but first I want to just give you a little background of calcium. And it is one of the most underestimated nutrients used in agriculture. Only nitrogen and potassium are required in larger quantities. So calcium 880 plus is a complex of micronized calcium carbonate and a freshwater algae extract. And this can be used effectively in foliar applications and most irrigation systems. The algae cells act as a facilitator of mobility and the calcium molecule in the plant and provide the fastest and most efficient simulation of calcium possible. Calcium 880 plus is processed under pharmaceutical guidelines in providing the highest quality of calcium available. And the calcium carbonate is mined and processed to a particle size of less than 1 micron, which greatly increases the total surface area of the molecule. The calcium can then be easily disassociated from its carbonate component, while the algae extract helps bring the nutrient into the root. Why calcium is important. Calcium plays an active role in the uptake of water and other nutrients, And deficiencies of calcium cause fruit and vegetable disorders such as bitter pit in apples, blossom end rot on tomatoes, soft bottom on melons, and tip burn on lettuce, and many other issues. Calcium has the ability to displace sodium ions on soil colloid and buffer salt on the root zone. When properly used, calcium can protect the plant by acting as a buffering agent against the effects of high saline or sodic conditions, as well as extremes in acidity or alkalinity. Calcium 880 Plus can also improve water penetration in most soil types and increase soil fluctuation. Calcium is our only counter ion that can help push soil clay partlets apart, creating a more suitable environment for root growth. So why calcium 880 Plus? It is extremely small particle size, less than 1 micron, and it contains a freshwater algae extract. It is 25% calcium, so very high in the calcium, and with the small microns, it gets a chance to get it into the plant both through the roots and foliar. It has a very low salt index of 5, and if you compare that to calcium nitrate, that has a salt index of 52.5. Best management protocol for salts. It's a way to get in and push the salts out. Calcium is the best counter ion for sodium management. Helps with that, replacing that and freshening up the soil. It improves mobility, especially K, through the plant vascular systems. The two work together very well, K and calcium. And high calcium concentration, which is a 25% liquid formulation. The calcium 880 Plus has no limiting factors such as sulfates, chlorides, or nitrates found in other calcium products, and is easily incorporated in all nutrient programs, except for programs that have phosphorus in them. It may be applied at higher rates for soil corrections in the root zone, rhizosphere, with safety to all plant types, and
Are economically beneficial.
our ProK 3-0020, which is 20% calcium. It has a little bit of nitrogen. It is an organic certified, fully soluble dry fertilizer, specifically designed to supply this important nutrient as a foliar. It is a dry fertilizer, but it mixes in water very easily, and once you mix it in the water, it stays in solution. So if you mix it up today, the wind blows or something happens, and it has to sit for a day or two, it will not settle out at the bottom of the tank. It will stay in solution, so all you have to do is come along, turn it on, and go ahead and do your project. It is well known that calcium is flown immobile, therefore it will not travel from the leaves down to the fruit. However, the plant allocates the calcium traveling up from the roots, giving preference to the leaf structures over the fruit. So a complete calcium nutrition program should consider increasing the availability in the soil, and in conjunction with a strategic reduction of the total demand by the leaves. So why ProK? ProK is minerally sourced, fully soluble organic calcium, and it contains no risk of salts or limiting nutrients. And it's perfect complement for good soil-based calcium programs. Just to give you a little idea on some of the work that we've done with ProK, we did some work with Honeycrisp apples, and we compared it to a calcium citrate and a calcium chloride. And the calcium chloride, once we finished the end of the year, we did 2 applications at 2 pounds the acre, and our product efficiency on the product and the test was double over what calcium chloride was. And then our total gross return, the Ferticell program out succeeded the calcium chloride program. So, and the numbers on that, due to higher yield and relative low bitter pit incidence, the Ferticell program, ProK program resulted in over $37,000 per gross return. The untreated plots trailed by 4%, with grower standard calcium chloride resulting in the poorest gross return. Although the calcium chloride program led to minimal bitter pit losses, The higher initial yield from the untreated plots compensated for its heavy cull percent. We also did some tomato work, and it doesn't go with that, but just to give you an idea, we did a ProK with a Nutriplus, and in those plots in the rows, the tomatoes were anywhere from 6 to 12 inches taller throughout the whole growing season. And when we looked at blooms, the plant blossomed through the whole season, all the way to the top. And we never did drop any blossoms at all. And we also had tomatoes being picked throughout the whole season. They were picked right up to 2 days before a frost hit it and killed the plant. But the biggest thing that when we looked at it all was the tomatoes did not have any blossom end rot. They're clean. They were not dropping because of the disease, so we were able to increase the picking from the plant, and yield-wise went way up, and a much cleaner and better looking tomato. So in conclusion, you can go to ferticillusa.com, take a look at some of the work done there, and contact us through there. Also look at Ferticell on Facebook, and at Ferticell USA for Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you.